bathrooms, drive courses, things like roofs and waterproofing. And one of the other ones we add, bright, is referring to classroom lighting. The first year's round of schools, when we did those lighting improvements, it was such a dramatic success within the schools. It made a huge impact on them. So this is where we're focusing on our prioritizing. Do I hear questions, or can I continue through this one?
David, there are some questions on chat, but I think we should wait till your presentation is over, and then I'll read them to the public record, because it's some people can only participate by audio, and that's what we have to do.
Okay. All right. If we continue on, then I've got the Cool, Safe, Dry, Bright, but we've also got some challenges. And in some cases, there are items that are on that Cool, Safe, Dry, Bright prioritized list that may not necessarily need to be done. So what we call that is Cool, Safe, Dry, Bright plus 5 years. These are existing systems that, while the referendum said that we should probably replace them, we've evaluated them and determined that they've actually got a life expectancy more than 5 years. So we're proposing to defer some of those items. With regular maintenance and upkeep, they should last till a future time when additional funding becomes available. We will not let schools with serious issues not get addressed. We will move these projects forward if necessary, even from out years. So in addition to this Cool, Safe, Dry, Bright plus 5 years, we're also focusing on speed to market. We're trying to improve our own processes to make sure that from going from contract award to construction mobilization, trying to speed that up as quickly as possible, because every month counts. If a contractor can buy materials right away, the day the contract is awarded, and help reduce the price, that's an important part for us. And again, we're also going to continue to improve on our timely payment processing. It's critical that our contractors, but more importantly, that our subcontractors are getting paid quickly. Important fact here, all schools will receive upgrades and repairs. This mitigation plan we're coming up with does not leave it so that some of the out-year schools don't get work. Everyone will get work done on their schools. So these challenges that we've been facing, we can mitigate with that Cool, Safe, Dry, Bright strategy. We can handle that right now. But we need to understand that the continuing needs of our facilities will exceed that scope of work that was in the original referendum. That original referendum, while they will address all those current needs, that assessment is 4 years old, and we have to understand that future referendums should be considered in order to deal with those future facility needs within the district. That should be it. I'm going to turn this over for questions now. David, I don't know if you want to manage that process.
Mr. Porter, may I read the questions and answers into the record, please?
Please.
The first question was by CORC member Porter, and the question is, for transportation, are the purchases scheduled out through the full 10-year referendum time or to be completed in a shorter period of time? The answer was provided by Ms. Paul, and the answer is the purchase is planned throughout the 10 years of the program. Following this was 3 questions by Mr. Gelfand, and here is the first one. How do we evaluate the efficacy of the security projects? I'm not sure who will answer that question.
Well, school police, we've probably discussed this before. School police plays a major role in our security program, the security projects we've talked about, the security enhancements for all the existing schools. They help us dictate what is necessary to upgrade the schools, and they are doing so they've done an assessment for all the schools that we're implementing, but they do a constant upkeep, constant reevaluation of the school's safety and security. The state even requires it. So they are primarily our arbiters of what is effective, what needs to be done right away.
Thank you. The next question Mr. Gelfand posted is, when will the district determine summer school and fall schedule? from the perspective if campuses are closed, then the schedule of work will be significantly eased?
I can answer that.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a constant evaluation. Part of the work that we do on executive cabinet is we have work groups that we have put together to work on these various issues. And it's basically, what does the world look like post-COVID-19? And so at this time, we haven't made a decision. The superintendent has not made a decision on summer school. We're currently working on graduation and making sure that our seniors are honored properly. But that will be forthcoming.
Thank you, Mrs. Paul. The next question, Mr. Gelfand-Poston, is regarding lighting. Are we seeing an impact on changes to LED to HVAC design and operations?
We have not. We don't have any metrics right now that suggest a dramatic change, but we do believe that there will be an improvement in the the efficiency of the HVAC systems with the LED lighting.
So if I may follow up on a couple of those items. Thank you, David. On the LED issue, recognizing the heat that is generated by traditional lighting, whether it's incandescent or fluorescent, I don't know if the industry is changing its formulas on that, but it would seem, as I've seen in clients that we have had, some significant drops in heat generation, and at some point we should be redesigning our HVAC, which would be a lower load and presumably less expense and less operating expense. Is there a plan on that?
Yeah.
Or?
Well, I can agree. I can agree with you completely on the new schools. For example, when the new schools are built, the design systems that are going in are addressing the fact that we're installing LED lighting. So yes, we are noticing the designs, the capacity of the air conditioning systems is reduced. We don't have as much of a demand. So instead of putting in a 10-ton chiller, we might only need an 8.5-ton chiller or something like that. Those are the types of, we are seeing incremental decreases in the air conditioning needs in new schools.
On the security expenses, and I understand the desire to have some type of confidentiality of sensitive information, but it would appear, especially for public agency expenditures, that there needs to be some type of review or evaluation outside of the group that is requesting the expenditures to review that. I don't know if Commissioner Barberi, that's something that the board needs to be taking a look at, but just because law enforcement agencies request money and it is spent, that does not mean that it is being spent wisely and that there should be another way of approaching it. And especially as these expenses are increasing and as many of the expenses are being put in with new programs that haven't been evaluated nationwide over a period of time, this would appear to be critical, not just from an economic perspective, but are we achieving our goal?
Hi, this is Wanda Paul again. So in the past, we've had the Council of the Great City Schools evaluate our police department. We had an evaluation a couple of years ago, which has hastened, the change in structure and so forth. So we're very open to that. Our chief is recognized nationally. And so he participates in a lot of the conversations around school security across the country. So yes, I think that's a good suggestion, and thank you for it.
I don't know if this is the time to raise this issue, but what efforts are being undertaken to assure that the workers on site are protected. I know that at the county level, there's requirements for personal protective devices. And as I walk around my neighborhood, I see that almost every job site is not complying with that at all. And those workers seem to be the ones that are most heavily impacted. And we see in the hospitals and the statistics.
Well, from the school district's perspective, again, we are trying to focus on our employees and our students, teachers and whatnot, to make sure that they're safe. We are requiring that our people are. I know Ms. Paul and I have been in discussions with the AGC and some of the contractors, and they are also in support of recommending that every contractor utilize safety measures, PPE, et cetera. We are also requiring, again, this is not necessarily to answer your question, but at the end of the project or at the end of the summer, let's say, we are requiring our contractors to clean and sanitize the schools. So any impacts that they may have had, they will be responsible for making sure that we are within the health department's guidelines for cleanliness. But as far as the specifics of requiring contractors to do that, we have recommended that they do so, but no requirements have been set.
Michael, this is David Porter. I can tell you Alan Gast, who used to be on CORC, is now president of the Palm Beach County or the local AGC. And I'm the architect on one of Alan's projects that we're wrapping up. And I had a site visit 2 weeks ago to do a job inspection, and there was 2 people on the job because he's limiting the number of people on the job. And I had to wear a mask and be away from everybody else during my walkthrough. So at least from the AGC, which is recommending to all the local contractors how to proceed, that's being done. Doesn't necessarily mean that that's filtering down to project managers and superintendents to get to the actual subcontractors and their workers.
Thank you. And I realize that this is a question that hadn't been submitted before, but I would suggest that the contracts likely require a safe environment and compliance with regulations. The governor's emergency order requires compliance for even essential activities. So I would suggest that instead of waiting until the end of the job to protect the workers in particular, that this is something that the school district should be monitoring on its sites, because if we don't, then who else is going to?
And if I may, Mr. Gelfand, yes, we appreciate that. My staff has been issued, actually it's the AGC's recommendations to their contractors. My staff has been issued that, it's a 3-page document, and with the instruction of making sure they tell their contractors that they should be doing something. Now, whether or not we have the ability to enforce it, that's a difference. But certainly our contractors have been notified from our SPAs, because they have the same document that the AGC has been handing out.
I appreciate the recommendation and the follow-up on it orally, but if we have the ability to require this, then we ought to be doing that.
Dave, I think you do have the authority. The contractor's coming onto our property. And so we are the owners of the property, and we should be able to then control how things get done on our property. And if we know that they're, not complying with the governor's executive order and the AGC's order, I think you have every right all the way down to the worker pulling wires through a pipe to mandate that they either comply or they get off the job.
Okay. I will absolutely take that recommendation forward and present it to senior administration so we can discuss and work through it.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Do you have additional comments in your chat on this topic? May I speak?
Please, go ahead, Jim.
CORC member Gaines has agreed with Mr. Gelfand regarding responsibility for on-site compliance. And she also said it is our work site and we should control it. That's it.
Okay. Anything else, Dave, for your, or any questions for Dave that we might have in terms of the Safe, Dry, Bright program to keep us going, but the projects are coming in over budget? Okay. I can also say from my perspective as an architect out there that I would recommend that we don't think that things are going to come in cheaper. I'm already finding the supply chain issue with longer lead times on light fixtures, especially a lot of the things like solar collectors that mostly came from China. Lead times are increasing, so therefore there's a shortage of supply. Manufacturing plants have shut down because of the virus, so prices are going up and supply is going down, and I think we're probably going to be a year, in my opinion, before we're out of that. Okay, Jim, you had some other chats coming through. You want to take care of those?
Yes, sir. CORC member Frank Simon states, I think our contracts call for job safety and the situation is a safety issue which should be enforced.
Okay, thanks, Frank. That was the only chat?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, we'll keep moving through our meeting here. We don't have a follow-up. We've got discussion. I guess we're down to approval of minutes. Anyone have issues on minutes? Okay. Hearing none and seeing no chat. I don't think we have anything specific for our next meeting. Let's hope it can be in person, but we might be doing this again. I think this went very well, actually.
Yes.
So anything else by anyone else before we close this out? Just unmute your mic and say so. Okay, hearing none. Thank you, everyone. We are adjourned.
Jim, can you hear me?
I can.
The closed caption on this meeting was fantastic.
Okay,
It was
that's good to know.
more timely and more accurate than you ever have on TV. I couldn't believe how good it was.